Okay, ramifications of not having 24 hours. Currently, people can canvass for votes up until polling day, just as long as it's not within 500 meters. Now, you don't want people canvassing for votes here within earshot of people standing in line to vote.
Yes.
So that is the main thing, we want to prevent that. Canvassing stops, and then your election takes place. Selection committee, no, currently the Act, it remains as it is. Your selection committee is there because you have to have somebody who can interview these people, look at the CVs and make a recommendation. Then the recommendation goes to National Assembly. It remains the same. There it will be discussed. From there it will go to the President. If there's a problem, it will be referred back, and all those processes are still there. We are not taking that power away from them.
All right, we had, is it okay for us to take 3 minutes?
Yes.
We had Christy and, okay, we've got quite a few now. Christy was first, Graham, and you had a question? Still? Okay, so we'll take those 3 first. Thank you.
My question is, can we actually get the draft bill? They're very detailed. My second question is whether there's been any attempt to look at international best practice around some of these key issues. For example, how to enhance and protect the electoral management body, how to improve public oversight into processes. For example, is there any sort of chance of getting an independent, almost like a nomination committee, similar to the Judicial Service Commission? There's like a nomination committee, similar to the Judicial Service Commission, that can help with the put forward of candidates, nominations, and so on, but that's extended to include members of civil society or other experts. The same thing with access to information. It doesn't help political parties publishing financial records, but nobody sees it. It remains within the system. The publication of election results, we collect all kinds of information, but we never see it. We get a grid with outcomes, but we can't establish whether young people voted, how many women voted, what were the breakdown of these by constituency, all sorts of things that can, one, allow us to assess the outcome of elections and the possible fairness of elections, but also to help people who work in the areas of electoral management or civic education to help build strategies. And I have a long list of these things, so that's why I'd rather say, can we have the list or the actual bill, and then we can refer to that and not work off a summary.
Graham Hopwood from the IPPR. Just a question on the funding of political parties. I just wanted to be clear from your presentation, because in the past, the ECN has said it's not so happy in fulfilling this function of overseeing the funding of parties and requiring certain reports and things. And there's been suggestions that maybe the Ombudsman or the Office of the Auditor General should take on those tasks. Just wanted to be clear, is the ECN still seeing itself as overseeing the funding of parties in the with the current kind of reporting system under this particular draft that you are putting forward now?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Naxon. Yeah, I want to ask about the observers, the election observers, dealing with the electronic voting machine. Because I was happened to be an observer. When you are an observer, you're just standing somewhere there. Now, when the people are doing with the machines, the information can temper. Maybe a person voted for another party, and now the person who's dealing with these computers can change. But you are observing there, you cannot see that. Maybe it happened that you must also have a computer so that you can see the particular person, how did they voted. Yeah, because I think there must be something that is giving the observers the authority to see, to oversee the elections, not just to stand there and observe. Thank you.
You see, in terms of the Constitution, there is a body created that's called the Electoral Commission of Namibia. And their powers and functions are to hold elections, oversee this whole process of elections, nomination of candidates, registration of voters, everything. We cannot have another committee or something on top of that to oversee that. That is exclusively in the prerogative of that particular party or local organization who they want to nominate. And parties must be held to account when they do not ensure that there's an open and free process where nominations are elected or people are elected to be nominated.
And they're talking to me.
Yes,
Okay.
this was your
So
question.
I'm not talking about political party candidates. I'm talking about commission candidates, people to be nominated as commissioners. To have a body that's wider than just the
selection
the
committee.
internal one, where external interests can be represented and become part of that process.
Well, we have the selection committee currently. It is external people. It's people like, for instance, the chairperson of the Public Service Commission. It's somebody from the Law Society. So there are 5 members of the selection committee who will deal with the appointment of these members of the commission. So you're suggesting an additional committee on top of that?
I'm just asking for information because I don't have the bill.
Yeah, but it's in the current act.
Yeah, but now the question is, when we talk about strengthening the independence, the question becomes, we can do that by involving more actors, and not just the exclusives that's already been nominated.
Maybe I can add, Heidi. It's something that I think there was also a proposal. If you look at other countries within SADC, and you are talking about members of these organizations to be represented on the commission, if I get your question correctly.
Have a say in the nomination, yeah.
There's no nomination, there's only applications.
Yeah, well,
But
Everybody
yes,
can.
I understand the selection committee. So
Yes.
it's not in the act, in the proposed bill currently. If it's something that civil society wants to propose, it's maybe something that you can put forward to the commission. So there's no such a provision under the current amendments.
Yes. You also asked about access to the political party funding, the audit reports and that. It is in the current act, it remains there. Any person can access that. Come to our offices and they can have a look at that. So it's currently there.
Can't you make it available online?
I think you've added quite a number of areas that you were talking about. The issues of the results, the issue of the results currently, we do make it available online. We have a website. We started introducing this, I think, way back in 2014. Yes, maybe our website has not been accessible throughout. It's something that we are working at. But in future, the results will remain on the website so that anybody that is interested, as they are posted at the polling stations, you'll also be able to access them from polling station level up until the final election results are announced, so that people can make their own analysis, they can go into and make sure that everything adds up. But I know there were also quite a number of issues that you have extended on. It's not only the election results. I think, like Advocate was saying, we are looking at other areas also in terms of transparency. Transparency in terms of political party accountability, so that we make sure those statements and things that are being submitted by political parties, we can also make it available. Currently, the law provides for it, but it's a manual process. So people can come to our offices, view the information of the political parties, and people actually don't do that. So now that we are in a digital world, I mean, everything is expanding. We are also looking at making this information available to members of the public as the law currently provides.
Then On the funding of political parties, did I get the question right? You want to know if there's something in the draft that we will try and be more...
Will you change your current responsibilities?
Yeah. We are trying and proposing a division, a dedicated division on that, to see that we can not only receive it, but we'll also have people who can look into it and delve deeper and see if there are anything, you know. But it's difficult at the moment. In the ideal world, we would like to have an office of a registrar of political parties, a whole separate office who only deal with that, totally out of the Commission's responsibilities. But of course, there must be political will to create that, and also the money is an issue, but that is in an ideal world, we would like to see that.
So the division would be within the ECN?
Yes, the compliance one, yeah. I'm not sure I understood the question on the observer and the voting. Do you want to see how people vote?
No, to see the result of the person who was voting, because it is done with the electronics, and you are telling the person who was dealing with the computers can change the things.
No, there's no computer involved. As I said earlier, it is basically a calculator. You have your ballot machine. There you go into the booth, just like now with your paper. You mark your whoever candidate in secret. The same now, you will go into the booth. Now you will go into the booth. That will voted for a that will voted for ABC party. ABC party. Shop, I go out. Get and shop, I go out. Get, and you put it in a ballot box. But those are technicalities that still need to be worked out. But the voter is the only one who will ever know who he voted for. Nobody else can see that. And there's no computer involved anywhere. It's just a calculator. And if there is proof that something is not adding up, then those slips will be counted, just like ballot papers.
It's pretty...
Is it clear?
So some need for some technical education around how this process works.
For me, I only have 2 points. One is to then commend the ECN for the job well done, particularly with the consideration in terms of limiting the voting polling station. I think that would be really, really good point to take up and consider for implementation. That's the first. The second one is I have noticed with concern you have students that are studying abroad, particularly in some country where we don't have our embassy or a station to say where they can register. And now these students, sometimes they have to travel to certain country or far town where they can register, and that sometimes is very costly considering these people are students. Maybe ECN can they implement some sort of processes, maybe even online or via email, where someone can reach out to them, then they can be verified and register from there, so that when they are able to have opportunity to, if you can consider some to that extent, it will be really appreciated. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. I just wanted to ask, I saw that, sorry, Tony from the LAC, you said 6 months and then all the documentation will be destroyed?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm assuming that the proviso there is that there's no court case,
Yes.
or, yeah.
Yes.
So perhaps one should just make sure that's in there as
Yes,
well.
it's in there.
Is
Yeah.
it in there?
Yes.
Okay.
That was one of my questions. Good morning, I'm Rosa. You said in the amendment the objector, ECN is the one that will question you. Now, can the objector also go to clarify and put their points why they are objecting. Then also the digital, our IDs. I heard the minister saying the other day our IDs will be digitalized. Is this linking to that changes that are happening with our identity? And there's just so many, I don't know whether we will hear much more around that amendment, because if we are digitalized, of course, for the others, it would be, for the younger ones, it would be easier. For the elder ones, it might be difficult. So what would be the support system there? Then I think the polling station, did I hear you say that we can no longer run to Eros to go and vote there? Instead, we must stay there until 12 o'clock, or can we still run to the next station to vote? Then the regulation for canvassing is there at the end, 24 hours before. So it's free to start from the beginning. There is no amendment there. When can we start? Because regularly people have these rallies to launch their parties. So can we do it anyway until? Is there no regulation in the beginning? Then there is I heard you say 5 days, I don't know about paying for political parties when you paid, because there is a lot of back and forth when you register your party, to the extent that it goes maybe to 2 years to 3 years at the moment. And you are losing that money. I don't know how long will that go as the process runs. Do you lose that money, of course, because you are not registered, or is ECN holding on until you have finalized your registration? And the new amendment, can it consider some of the organizations, not only the political parties? It is a good point to say if we can declare if we don't have money, but also if the smaller organizations and associations are really struggling, how do we help there in the act? And I think, I think those were some of my questions.
Okay, so that was 3 questions, and I see 2 new hands, so we'll wait until the next round if the applicant is still willing and able. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, the issue of the embassy. People who are not living close to an embassy. The Act states that you must register at a foreign mission. And the reason for that is that foreign mission in whichever country is a little piece of Namibia land. So if you go to that embassy, you are in Namibia. And that's why you can register there. If you cannot go and register at any place. You must register at an embassy which is part of Namibia. That is the unfortunate thing. Now, I'm not sure this objector, is it now for the CEO? Yeah.
You were saying that they will be called by ECN.
Yes, but we also said that you will have to give a written submission as to why your objections and what your objections are. But then you must also appear on that particular day and be prepared to face questions from that particular candidate.
Based on your...
Yes, on your objections, why you are objecting. The ID issue, Zinia, do you have information, please?
Yes, the ministry, the ECN and the Ministry of Home Affairs, we are in future, we would also need to make sure that we cater for that when it comes to the voter registration and how it will deal with issues in terms of that. So if we use voter registration, it would not mean that it would only be that, because obviously it would also take some time for it to phase out. Just like we had the SWA IDs or the old Namibian ID, there will be some time periods when it phases out. So all those categories of IDs will be taken into consideration when it comes to voter registration as well. Sorry, and then also the issue with the digital ID. Obviously, it will have to do something with your biometrics. When you have a digital ID, you would have to have your biometrics that would serve as proof that you are included in the National Population Register. As you know, Ministry of Home Affairs has now also digitalized that, and we are also working with biometrics when it comes to voter registration. So that would be the starting point when we are going to look at the digital ID.
Okay, on your question of you will no longer be able to run to EROS. No. When you registered at EROS, then you will be able to go there. But there will be no more long queues because we will know exactly. 10,000 people registered at the EROS post office polling or registration point. So there will be 10,400 people voting there. Not people from Van Ryn or Suiderhof or any place there. Those people who registered there will vote there. But this is also something that maybe will take some time, and it is something we envisage for the long run. We don't know when all these things will come into practice. But that is the idea, so that you don't have long queues. You know there are only a certain amount of people going to show up, they vote, they go, and it's over. The issue of the starting of canvassing, obviously it will be as soon as your nominations is out. I'm just not sure. I don't have the bill in front of me, but I think we also put that in. Yes, we put that in as well. So as soon as your nomination is finalized, so that everybody knows who are the candidates, then your canvassing can start. The registration fee for parties. If you started the process and you don't abandon it, then of course it's ongoing and ECN will hold your money. But as soon as you abandon it and say, I'm no longer interested, I tried last year, now it's 5 years before we have a next election, I'm abandoning it, then of course if you don't have money. It is in the Act that you can now go to a normal accountant. You can even provide an affidavit with bank statements as proof that there's no money to declare. That is in the draft. And those were those.
So that's been quite extensive, and before I take any more of your time also, Ms. Jacobs, I do want to just thank the ECN for being here again, because we are recording all of this, and we will be taking written submissions from you to us and consolidating everything that has been said here and everything that is received to submit one document to the ECN. And so this process really is educative, I think, more than anything else, and so we really thank you for that. So I think we will, in the interest of time, just be taking 3 more questions, but be rest assured that this is not the end of your opportunity to engage and be part of this process. So I did see your hand and Christie's, and who else was there? All right, at the back. And so that's with your permission.
Yes, no, it's fine.
Thank you very much.
We will also forward the bill to you, so you can.
I actually also already have it.
Oh, you
so
have
I did
it. Okay.
just make a small consolidated introduction that I did send around already, but after this I'll send the full bill to everyone.
Okay.
All right. Christy, over to you.
With regard to the registration of political parties, maybe you can just help me quickly. Once a party is registered, they remain registered. Am I right?
Yes.
Now, we've now seen the proliferation of parties, all of them, or most of them, very, very small. In fact, so small that they don't even get 100 votes. Is there not a need to clean out the system so that a political party that can no longer meet the entry criteria should not be allowed to participate? What's the use of having a political party that has 14 votes? A second related issue is the issue that some parties will be better off being regional parties and not national parties. So is there a way we can start thinking about allowing parties to register where they have strongholds, which is not necessarily the national domain? Because, again, these parties keep on participating